Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from Madison Realty Capital, Capital One Bank, Eastern Consolidated, New York Community Bank, M&T Bank, Sterling National Bank, Meridian Capital Group, Customers Bank, AmTrust Title, Ariel Property Advisors, Dime Community Bank. Additional funding has been provided by AVR Realty Company, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Mortgage Lending, Citizens Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Real Estate Organization, Handro Properties, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Institute at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Matone Group, Mercantile Bank, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Stonehenge NYC, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Meringoff Family Foundation, the Moynihan Organization, Moynihan Capital Partners, and these friends.
New York City has a major problem. What is the problem? It's affordable housing. So today I've assembled this group of business leaders and lenders to discuss the affordable housing in New York City. My guests include Jonathan Butler, who is the Director of Construction at Riseborough Development.
Director of Real Estate Development at Riseborough Community Partnership.
Thank you. Aaron Kaufman, who's a principal at the Hudson Companies. Eli Weiss, who is a principal at Joy Construction. And last but not least, the man, if he doesn't give us the money, you can't build. Greg Gerken, who is the head of real estate for the United States at TD Bank. All of you came out of governmental agencies for affordable housing.
That is correct.
Yeah. So why did you get into the affordable housing business?
I think I had always had an interest in real estate based on my background in education. I have a law degree, and I went to school I got a degree in master's in finance and for real estate. And at the time when I was graduating from NYU, the conduit market, the CMBS market, was extremely active, and a lot of people who were graduating from my program wanted to pursue that career path. And I've always been somewhat of a contrarian. I thought I should try to do something different, distinguish myself. And to be very honest, I answered a job ad that was on the job board, something that doesn't exist anymore. Now everything is online, but I answered a job board ad for a position in city government with the Division of Real Estate Services, doing land acquisitions for various municipal projects. I spent a year there, and I was very fortunate that I both very much enjoyed government, found it very interesting, saw the inner workings of how government interacted with real estate, and I was very fortunate to then get transferred to the New York City Housing Development Corporation, where actually I met Aaron and worked with Aaron for a year and a half.
So how do you make the leap from government to go into the business of affordable housing, and why did you go into that business? I'm going to ask all three of you.
Sure. So I had been in government for 3.5 years. I'd felt that I'd seen a lot, and I'd seen a bunch of different deals. I got to work on some really exciting stuff, but I wanted to get a little bit closer to the building side and not just the finance and policy side. And I felt I had a good understanding of that. And at the time, I was very fortunate to meet up with the folks from Joy Construction, who had a very large and active third-party general contracting business. And I thought that perhaps with my background on the finance side and the legal side, we could combine our backgrounds and do development and construction. And that's what we've been doing together since 2008.
Aaron, since you met him, how do you get involved with affordable working for the government and then to the Hudson companies?
When I got out of planning school, or actually when I was in planning school, I realized that planning seemed a bit reactive for me, and I wanted to be out in front. And so it was basically either developers, lenders, or the government. And HDC.
You could have gone to his side, you know, the lender side too.
I thought about that. I mean, HDC is a great position because it's a lender.
They are a lender.
That's right. And so, and it was my first real job in New York City after grad school, and it gave me a lot of exposure to developers, lenders, tax credit investors, and I knew then that at some point I wanted to go into the development side. I wanted to explore neighborhoods. I wanted to see what was not yet there. I had just, I think, had an inclination for it intrinsically, and Forest City, Ratner actually approached me while I was at HDC as Atlantic Yards was building momentum, and they offered me a position, and I thought, well, if I'm gonna move into a development, I want to stay in affordable housing because I now had a good network and really liked that world, having been like a Habitat for Humanity volunteer and growing up in LA as a child of divorce, as many of my friends born in the 70s were. So I got to see, you know, bouncing around a little bit growing up, the idea of a permanent home and the value of that really spoke to me. And the fact that you can create a business out of that also spoke to me. And so I took the leap and went to Forest City because I thought at the time it was the largest affordable housing development in the city, might as well go big. And so I went there for 3 years and then realized, you know, I wanted to do that primarily and not as I would say as an ancillary development to the arena that was being built. And so I went to Hudson now almost 10 years ago, and it's been great.
And now, newest person to leave the governmental side to the nonprofit side.
That's right. My answer is not going to be too different from Eli and Aaron's. I think that when you're working for government in a place like HDC or HPD, you learn so much from the developments you're working on, from the lenders, the investor side. So through that experience and working with government, I think you're able to offer a lot to the private sector, whether it be for-profit or nonprofit development. I, for one, have learned both from Eli and Aaron during the times that I worked with them at the city. So when you're able to go out into the private sector, I think then you're able to use the tools that you've gained through that experience and then be creative through development rather than being reactive and working on other people's projects. Now it's time to take the tools that you've gathered and put them together to create a unique product.
So now I ask our lender over here, why is TD Bank involved with affordable housing, okay? And why do you like being a lender to the affordable housing market?
It's pretty easy. It starts with we're required to. There's the Community Reinvestment Act. It was passed, and actually, you know, much like these guys, my first exposure to affordable housing and CRA was going to work for a bank that had failed its CRA exam, which means you can't open new stores, you can't do any acquisitions. You know, the punitive side of it is enough to make every bank, you know, step up and notice. That's the reality side of it. The more important side of it is we believe in serving the communities that we have our stores and our people live in. And at the end of the day, anytime people around the bank ask, you know, like, why affordable housing, you know, what do we want to get involved in that, you just take them for a walk around the office and show them, you know, all the people that qualify for affordable housing. It's not what people think. You know, the reality is most people in banking don't make, you know, 6 figures. They make much less than that. Whoa. They couldn't afford to live, you know, where they work and play. And at the end of the day, if you think about it, you know, if the community is doing well, our stores do well, our people are happy, it provides them an opportunity to live near where they work. And it's just one big virtuous wheel. And that's one side of it. The other side is we pick and have 3 pillars that we invest in affordable housing in particular.
How hard is it to build affordable housing?
Is difficult. It's constrained both naturally, and there's a lot of players chasing something that's very scarce and is not being created new. But I'll stop with that because I think what all of us do in terms of finding land is not just field calls from brokers or owners who are looking to sell. You try to figure out a way to, what I say, create land. Even though the old expression is they're not making more of it. If that was the case, I don't think any of us would be able to build affordable housing, whether it's through rezonings, through joint ventures with religious organizations like churches, whether it's through inclusionary housing bonuses. We look for ways to make the math work on affordable housing because the back of the envelope for affordable housing doesn't work. Our models for affordable housing are much more complicated and go much deeper and require multiple sources of subsidy. So in order to find a piece of land that will make that work, you really need to start on third base. To just buy something that's 100,000 square feet at X per square foot, you're starting with two strikes against you. If you're looking at a 100,000 square foot site, you have to be thinking, I need to make this 150 or 175.
So you're requiring an upzoning.
Whether it's an upzone, whether it's a favorable zoning determination, you need to add the special sauce.
One question that many people, I'm stopped on the street or when I do a 1010 wins comment, is they want to know what's the procedure, how they can apply for affordable housing, and what it is, what's AMI, what's this 30%, what's 130%? Who wants to take a crack at that?
John, you just recent graduate from government.
Right. So it really depends on what kind of affordable housing we're talking about. It's how it's created. We typically develop low income, although we've dabbled now into mixed income housing, and also, of course, senior housing. So there's a lottery process. It's available online through the government agencies, depending upon whether the project was financed.
I think the best one is HousingConnect.com.
Housing Connect, yeah, is the city's portal for finding available apartments. So they're available online. I think community-based organizations like ours also post those availabilities right on our website as well. So we have a host of folks that are looking for affordable housing come through our office every day to look for available units and units that we're in the process of developing. But citywide, Housing Connect would be the best source to find available.
Here's a question. When you're looking to lend on the affordable housing, are you looking at the mixed developments that we were talking about? They could range at 40% of AMI. AMI, for my audience, I don't want to do inside baseball, is the area median income, which today is what?
About $101,000 for a family of four.
So somebody could qualify at 40%, which means they're earning $40,000. Okay?
For a family of four.
For a family of four. And it's even less for a family of one.
Correct.
Right, it's adjusted for household
It's adjusted for the household side. But and I'm going to get back to Greg in a second, isn't it also certain preferences? People can, when they apply for this, if they live in the community, if they're a member of the police force or the fire department, if they have a disability also?
That's right.
There's generally a 50% community board preference for projects that were financed with the city. When you're developing projects with NYCHA, they tend to have a 25% preference for NYCHA tenants. There's also smaller categories for municipal employees, et cetera, that are also layered into these affordable markets.
Although there's a lawsuit pending right now, actually, that may change that 50% community board preference that hasn't been finalized.
Which, in a way, I think is inappropriate because certain people should be open for the city in general. Okay, I understand that you want to take care of your community, but there have been people living in the city who want to move up and have the opportunity to go into different areas and communities.
I think one of the other great opportunities for people to learn about housing that's coming to their areas is the New York City Housing Connect post these as projects get closer to construction completion and get ready to begin the lottery process. But just being involved with your local community board, I think all of us are very engaged with the community boards that we develop in. And so they're aware of our projects many times a year before we even break ground. We present it many times to the full board, to the housing board. And I think that people who want to know what's coming up in this neighborhood, what the landscape is going to look like for affordable housing in my area, should reach out to their community board or be engaged, and I think there's a plethora of information there as well.
With regard to lending, is there any geographical preference for you on affordable housing today?
Not particularly. It's whether or not the project qualifies. frankly, in most neighborhoods, you know, we've done everything from the Bronx to the Hamptons to give you some sense of
Right, and
where.
the affordable component is different in Long Island for the Long Island housing.
That is
Now, what's also interesting about affordable housing in Long Island that people don't realize, you have to qualify each year. You have to show them your tax return. When you get into an affordable housing in New York City, you're protected for the rest of your life.
Right. It's the first year of eligibility, and then you're
Right,
you're set, you
which
can't do
partially, you know, it's great to the American dream to get into something over there, but subsequently you may never leave that apartment because it's such a great deal. I think one of the jokes was people didn't realize that the person who wrote Hamilton lived in an affordable housing apartment that he won on the lottery, you know, later on. Okay, fortunately he's moved on.
Or maybe you could make the argument that, you know, that stable household and that environment was instrumental in his success. I think that's how we would view it.
Yep.
And we rarely see egregious cases because we do income certify. And there are ramifications to somebody being over income, not to the tenant, but to the landlord, to make sure that you maintain the correct affordability balance. And I think that it's very rare that you see a case where somebody qualified at 60% of AMI and you come back 3 years later and they're making $500,000 a year.
One area which I think is not really explained and understood is the supportive housing and senior housing.
Well, I guess John has seen a lot of it. I mean, we're from a developer side. You know, we're doing a couple projects now that.
But explain to my audience what senior housing is and supportive housing.
So generally, and John can jump in here too in case I screw it up. That senior housing, I like to call it older adult housing, is.
I'm happy you're considering. I'm not an older adult.
Of course you're not. No, but you know.
Baby boomer housing, we'll call it.
Sure, 62 and over.
Head of household.
Head of household is 62 and over. Can be earning income or Social Security. I mean, that doesn't matter. And generally, the way HPD is underwriting them is that it's 60% senior housing, 40% multifamily, or 60% supportive housing, 40% multifamily. So you can do 100% senior building if you want to. There are some fair housing issues that have to be negotiated as you start thinking about maybe doing an intergenerational building. But essentially, it's a way to possibly use tax-exempt bonds, 4% low-income housing tax credits to fund senior housing, and supportive housing is usually done with the 9%
Now,
But
tax
big
credit.
picture, supportive housing, it goes beyond income. There are also social services on site
Yes.
for that population. It's typically targeted. So it could be veterans, social services for veterans, people who are victims of domestic abuse. The list can go on, but essentially the driving philosophy behind supportive housing is that both with stable, housing and income qualification, certain people need even more support, whether it's counseling, on-site medical attention, and that will create more stability in their life. There's an excellent, I'm sorry. Yep.
And I think that's the main ingredient, is that there is a level of services involved with supportive housing. Oftentimes, I think folks may conflate formerly homeless housing with supportive housing. The agencies have been pretty aggressive in requiring formerly homeless be included within a lot of the 100% affordable projects, but those are just families and individuals that are coming out of shelters and may not need a level of service that is needed really for a supportive housing type service.
so let's talk about certain projects that you're involved with, all of you, and tell me what the breakdown is and where they are, because people want to know about the future projects.
Sure. So I'm just finishing a project on 175th Street and Crotona Parkway in the Bronx. It's 208 units. I believe about 122 are low income. The balance are middle income. We have 30,000 square feet of commercial that we lease to the Children's Aid Society, Montefiore Hospital, and a local dentist office that focuses on underprivileged patients. We also have another project that we're just starting on the Lower Concourse, Grand Concourse Village and West, and that's on 156th Street and Grand Concourse. It's 50% low income, 50% mid income. We typically today look at all of our projects as being mixed income for a variety of reasons.
Do you have a supportive and senior housing on those?
We do not have supportive or senior on either of those projects. However, we are we have done senior before, senior preferences. Supportive is usually done more with non-for-profits. For-profit developers are now only creeping into the supportive world.
But aren't there many affordable housing developers who are joint venturing
Yes,
with
yes.
nonprofits?
So when we do supportive, it's in a joint venture where we're really mostly being brought in as the
Like
contractor.
self-help or-
Self-help, community access, Riseboro.
Riseboro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you have a number of projects on there,
Yeah, we
including
just
the groundbreaking of this large project.
That's right. We had a groundbreaking near one of Eli's sites. This is on Westchester between Bergen and Brook at the Hub in the Bronx, and that's 992 units. 80% of it is low income, and then we have units going up into middle income, and then we also have 160 units of supportive housing that Breaking Ground and Communal Life are doing in one building. And then we have formerly homeless units. To John's point, we have 10% formerly homeless units in each of the other 4 buildings. And we just broke ground on the 2nd and 3rd buildings now. We are also, we just got through ULURP on the Spofford Juvenile Detention Center, which is a large facility that closed in 2011 in Hunts Point. And we're redeveloping it into 740 affordable units, all units below 90% AMI. And we have a number of services. We have a lot of local partners. It also includes 50,000 square feet of light industrial space to kind of mix into the Hunts Point fabric. So we're going to have job generation and affordable housing over 3 phases, and we're very excited about that as well. In fact, that one isn't instructive on the Housing Connect piece because we've actually been doing a lot of Housing Connect information sessions now. We haven't even broken ground yet. We're doing them now just to inform community groups, and it's amazing how many people don't know about Housing Connect, no matter the age. And so we've been signing people up, and we've been doing it in partnership with Councilmember Salamanca and the community board and our nonprofit partners. But it's instructive to see because you sort of think, well, this is a great solution, and it is. It's streamlined applications, but getting that message out is still a problem today in 2018.
John?
Yes, so we just closed on a 9% low-income building in Brownsville, 1860 Atlantic Avenue, called Harry T. Nance Apartments. So we'll be demoing the church and starting construction on that soon. We are also doing a rehab development for about a cluster of 9 buildings throughout Bushwick. We're taking those buildings and upgrading them to the Passive House standard, which is a very high energy efficient standard.
Which your neighbor next door built the first Passive House multifamily in Roosevelt Island.
They did, but while you brought that
They've
up,
done some stuff too.
I'll
actually.
add that
Riseboro was a
we've
pioneer.
developed the first multifamily affordable housing
right.
project in New York City.
That's right.
Knickerbocker.
Yep.
So we have been sort of at the forefront, I guess, of the trend of passive house development that's embedded with our design
And
model.
let's hear from the bank. What are the recent affordable housing projects you've been involved with?
Well, we've been involved across the board in projects like this, and also a lot of neighborhood stabilization projects through new market tax credit deals. A project recently where we brought a supermarket to a neighborhood that was effectively barren of any supermarket over the last 50
right, that's
years.
the supermarket program, Eli.
The Fresh
The
program.
Fresh program, right.
We're involved, as you mentioned, a lot of nonprofit programs. Help USA, in particular, has been developing housing for homeless
they've-
veterans, along with supportive services in there. We finished one in Philadelphia in November. We've got another one kicking off down in Washington, D.C. at the Walter Reed Hospital. There's a mix from our footprint, but in New York City, we're involved in all the boroughs and everything from what were 80-20 deals are now 75.
I'd like to
25
bring
deals.
up the 75-25 affordable housing for the new buildings. Explain that to my audience what that means.
Well, the original program to obtain a tax exemption in New York for new construction was known as 421A. It had gone through various iterations from 2008 and then ultimately expired at the end of 2016. And what has been brought back and what used to be what allowed you to get a tax exemption with 80% of your units being at market rate and 20% of your units being set aside for affordable has now moved to 75 and 25. And in many ways, the abatement, in my opinion, has actually gotten more robust. So even though you're giving more affordable units, I think that the actual abatement works better for developers. And I think
Would you explain the actual abatement, what it is?
sure. So it works very similar to the old 421A,
Which was the 20-year.
which was the 20-year abatement. The current abatement now is 35 years.
It was 20 years phased in.
20 years typically of no taxes or just what your taxes were on the land,
Right.
but no up assessment on what you built, and then the taxes would phase in over years 21 through 25. Now the abatement goes out 35 years, and I think the phase in is the last 5 years, but you have the opportunity to opt back in. And I think that's a huge, that will long-term be looked at as a tremendous tool that preserved affordable housing over the long term.
Right, because if you're opting in after the 30 years.
That is correct.
Which is keeping the affordable component.
That is correct.
Which is something which really happened in Stuyvesant Town also.
That is correct. And I think what it will do is it will economically incentivize longer-term affordable units and almost permanent affordability when you look at the trade-off between your fully assessed taxes and maintaining those units as being affordable.
Especially over a 35-year period,
That is
whatever
correct.
taxes would have gone up. You know, every
That is
building in
correct.
the
Well,
neighborhood.
and the 30-year regulatory agreement that used to be sort of standard in the market 10 years ago is practically gone. I mean, it is much more extended anyway, 50, 60 plus. And of course, now with mandatory inclusionary housing, you have a portion that is permanent affordable. And so the idea that you can
Explain to me what mandatory inclusionary housing.
So we were proud. We took the first one through ULURP in 2016, which was La Centrale. But we actually didn't take advantage of any of the additional inclusionary zoning. But essentially, MIH was something that passed in 2016, and essentially required that developers set aside a certain percentage of units. There are 4 options, but there are really 2 options that are primarily used. So they are just called option 1 and option 2. They limit the all units, I think, to 130% AMI, and then a portion of those units, depending on which option, have to remain permanently affordable. And that occurs in any rezoning of any area. So it doesn't matter if it's in East New York or Jerome Avenue, one of the area wides,
Right.
or it's more of a local
Whether it's a
upzoning.
city rezoning or a private
That's
rezoning.
right. You're required to do that permanent, and now even if there's some HPD additional permanent affordability that is added to some of the subsidy that's available.
So I think in conclusion, going back to affordable housing, I think it really emanated with Koch going back years ago. And it's continuing with our mayors, and it's continuing with the mayors and the governors. And I think the city and the administration is aware that we must have quality affordable housing for the people of New York City.
Yeah,
and I'm happy that I have the developers and the lenders who are providing that. And I'd like to thank Jonathan, Aaron, Eli, and Greg until we see each other again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yep.